someday we'll be rich. That you just stick with the farming long enough, we'll be rich. And the other thing I said, I need to farm just enough so I can make money talking about it. That's what I finally have done. And the only other two ways of making money farming is to sell something illegal or sell something people don't need. And an example on our farm of that is Christmas wreaths. We do Christmas wreaths every fall. We make more money in a month of Christmas wreaths than a summer of vegetables. And so we've chosen not to do the illegal stuff because we don't need to. Yeah.
The 1.7 billion in our region that's spent on food.
1.27. Yeah.
1.27. Did you break down how much of that was groceries and untaxed?
Yes. Well, what breakdown of that actually gets broken down into at home, which is groceries and other, and restaurants.
Okay.
And at that point, it was like 60-40 home to restaurant, but like it was shifting. You know, so it depends, and now it's shifting back to more home and less restaurant, or it has. So that's changing. So there's all sorts of issues with it. And that's why I needed to find the farmer portion of that dollar to get the farmer impact.
Yeah.
And one other thing to clarify, these numbers, I had to do two different sets of numbers. The numbers to produce all the food is one set of numbers. The numbers to consume is another. Because between production and consumption is waste. And that's one of the things I kept constant between the two diets, a local diet. But in reality, a local diet should shrink. So our production should have to be, probably will be able to be reduced because of less waste. There's waste in the field, there's waste on the way to the processing, there's waste in the process, there's waste at the grocery store, there's waste in your refrigerator at the end. And so the difference is the amount needed to be produced, available, the amount consumed is way different. That's a significant factor. So that's another aspect that also could shrink our footprint of a local by reducing the waste in between. Yes?
I think there's a lot of tough economic problems you have to overcome, and push into that economic problem, as I see it, is a huge other problem that's part of the economic problem, and that is, how are you going to change the dietary habits of SAD?
Right. You know, there's an interesting thing in businesses. If you put, you need to sign up for the 401k plan. You have to. If you don't sign up, you won't get the 401k plan. A majority won't get the 401k plan. The default factor needs to be acceptable alternatives for consumption. So it'd have to be a chicken and egg thing where restaurants' default is a higher level and more local than the standard. So we need to make our default after our choices more acceptable in the schools, in the hospitals. So there's a huge amount of potential that can go there because I am a lazy person. We all humans are lazy. We want the easiest way. And so the way I keep from being lazy is I physically structure my life in a way I cannot make more wrong choices than right choices. So the way I do that is I went to a place without electricity. So I want electricity. This is my electricity. So I have to do that. Not everyone will be as deliberate. That's why you need the default to be a level way above SAD. But our local diet here is an aspiration. For years and years and years, beyond easy transportation systems, we've been trading for sugar, for coffee, for opium, you know, all sorts of things we've been trading and exchanging. And so I have no illusions that that 100% local is going to be. But I also have no illusions that regardless of what we do here today or what we do individually or anything else happens, we will be localizing our food in the future. Because the reality of the world will dictate that. When the gas prices went up to $4 a gallon, one of the largest companies that sells broccoli out from California, guess what they did? They bought land in Vermont. So we will localize our food system. The question is, how will we do that and who will profit? Because my biggest thing in this region, we don't have large corporate farms. We don't have anything to fight against. We can create something new. So it can be co-op owned processing facilities by farmers and consumers together, building this and sharing in the profits. It doesn't have to be a Monsanto or another corporate entity. So we could then get, the community can get more of that food dollar so it's not being shipped to Chicago or New York or wherever else it is. So there are other opportunities within our region that provide a potential for a greater percentage of that food dollar to stay locally. But it's going to take a lot of work. And again, it's not going to happen without the temperature. And so we might sputter at this for a little while. And then we'll go boom, all of a sudden, something shifted. And then we'll sputter for a while longer, and then boom. So, but we will become more localized, whether I or anyone in this state or country do anything about it, because of the pure economics of energy. And energy is the key to our agriculture system. And when that becomes more costly, it will localize. So we have to figure out how to do that efficiently. Other questions?
Could you just give me an example of a meal? Go ahead.
I can give you an example of my new diet. On my birthday, July 14th, I started the local diet. Okay? And since then, I've lost 6 kilos, a little over 13 pounds. Now, I'm having a hard time match the diet. I'll leave you with this slide. This is a 1920s billboard slide. Look familiar? Some thoughts? So, my diet consists of, I have yogurt from an illegal farm up the shore. We make the milk into yogurt. And I mix that. I go away from the diet in that I add about 5 tablespoons of sweeteners a day. I add 2 maple syrup. I add a cup of our blueberries. Mix that together. And then granola. Right now we're completing the granola stores that we've made. And now we'll be shifting and trying to create a new granola mix. Because a granola mix has been based on nuts. The only nut that can be grown in our region is hazelnut. We'll need about 2,000 acres of hazelnut to grow part of our nut ratio. And so we also, sunflower seeds, pumpkin seeds, other things will balance out the thing. Pumpkin seeds is a huge economic crop that could be potentialized. Not only do you get the flesh, you also get the seeds. There's a great amount of seeds that can be made per acre. Also very good and very tasty. So we will be making that new granola mix blended in. Our lunch is, we grow and dry our own beans. So I'm out of beans on wild rice, cream sauce, vegetables. Really there's not much you can imagine in terms of plate of food that couldn't be pieced together with 100% locally grown food. Right now in this part of my diet, I'm just doing 100% locally possibly grown in this area. So just the crops that could be grown. And as I go through, I'll then find sources of the wheat, of the barley, which I know in Grand Rapids has a farm that grows the wheat and stuff like that. So also when our kids go back to school in a week, my wife and I this past winter decided we weren't going to buy food for a month. And then we went 2.5 months till the kids came back, and then they want ice cream, they want the whole thing, right? And so they're here with us, they'll be leaving in a week, and we're planning to stop buying anything from the store, because we don't need to, but we do anyway, just because, wow, it's tempting, it's seductive. And so if you don't go into the store, you don't get seduced. And so we're going to start that late August and will go till Thanksgiving.